Okay, I have a bit of a rant this morning. Um, if you've seen some of my previous videos, you know I've been struggling with some undiagnosed illness for a while. Not sure what it is, how I got here. I've learned a lot of different things, but I have a suspicion of what it might be. I think generally chronic fatigue or chronic fatigue syndrome fits the bill quite well, but I keep asking how I got here. Well, I look back at what happened over the past year and what started me on this spiral. And one thing I keep going back to is that I went to the doctor late 2017, just routine checkup, had some blood work done, and he found that I had my cholesterol level was elevated. I think total cholesterol was about 140, which is not insanely high, but they want you to be under 100. So he said, we need to put you on a statin. It's a safe drug. And me trusting my doctor, I said, okay. And he put me on a statin, and I was on a statin. And a couple of months in, I called him up and said, not really having too many problems, but my muscles are aching, and I feel more tired. And he said, well, just take it at night before you go to bed instead of in the morning, and that'll solve the problem. About 6 months later, I started having, some different problems, quite a few different problems. And, fatigue was one of them, and, nausea and dizziness and just yada yada. Just had a whole host of problems. And it's kind of sent me on this wild goose chase of going to different specialists and getting a bunch of different tests. I went to a dozen different specialists, from a gastroenterologist to a neurologist to an ENT, endocrinologist, you name it. I went there. But never once thought that maybe it was the statin, because statins are safe, they're safe drugs. And the doctor never really told me anything and never really followed up and never monitored how I was doing on the statin. I mean, well, come to find out, after being sick for a while, I got a lot of time to do research on why I'm sick. Come to find out that the doctor is supposed to monitor some liver enzymes and supposed to watch out for certain other symptoms like muscle weakness. And, there's one particular devastating side effect of a statin that I've learned about, where you're basically, you get a muscle wasting disease. A lot of people end up in the hospital. And maybe I got a slightly milder version of that, which mild, who knows how mild. I mean, I was bedridden for almost a month, not too long ago. So, my problem is that, I've learned a lot about nutrition since then, just trying to get well. And, the doctor basically told me that a statin is what I needed to be on. That was the way to get my cholesterol down, and basically the only way to get my cholesterol down, and that it was safe, and, I didn't have to worry about it. I mean, he didn't even say that I should be taking CoQ10, I've had people, say that I should have known better, but I don't. I go to my doctor. I trust my doctor. I've never really had any medical issues before, outside of maybe just the occasional, strep throat or something I needed an antibiotic for, which is a whole other discussion. my biggest mistake is I trusted my doctor, and I trusted in the pharmaceutical industry, that they weren't trying to basically make me sicker, or keep me as a patient. If you're a conspiracy type of person, I mean, what's the drug company's incentive to keep you on their drugs? All of them. It's insane. And my suspicion is that I went on a statin. I have maybe some genetic predispositions that doesn't allow me to clear the drugs like other people, or metabolize the drugs like other people. I mean, I know I'm homozygous MTHFR. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But 6 months on a statin basically destroyed my mitochondria. And after doing some research, mitochondria destruction is one of the very well-known side effects of statins. And it's a very destructive side effect, and not only of statins, it's a side effect of a lot of different drugs. Mitochondrial dysfunction. And if you have mitochondrial dysfunction, that could lead to a host of not only symptoms, but even worse disorders and diseases. So, I look back at this idiot doctor that put me on a statin and didn't monitor my liver enzymes, or even tell me that I should be monitoring my liver enzymes, and didn't tell me that I should also take a CoQ10, or that I should maybe get, genetic tests to see how I do on certain pharmaceuticals, because I've never really been on any pharmaceuticals outside of antibiotics until this point. And here I sit today, almost 2 years later, battling some unknown chronic illness, is fighting back, trying to get healthy using, methods that would have reduced my high cholesterol in no time at all. My cholesterol now, I've been off the statin for over a year, actually longer than that, year and a half, and my cholesterol now is lower than it was when I went on the statin. Why? Because I started eating real food and stopped eating fast food.